Relationships in A Streetcar Named Desire. Stanley Kowalski lives in a basic, fundamental world which allows for no subtleties and no refinement. He can understand no relationship between a man and a woman except a sexual one, where he sees the man's role as giving and taking pleasure from this relationship. Stanley is a very easy character to hate. He is presented as common, crude, and extremely vulgar towards his wife, and other characters in the play. As well as this, his frankness allows for no deviation from the straightforward truth. Stanley is presented as being brutal and bestial, and even Blanche comments on his ape-like behaviour. This can be seen through his determination to destroy that which is not his, and this can be either a physical object or even a relationship. We only get one glimpse into the Kowalskis' relationship before Blanche shows up, so we have to assume that their first interaction in scene 1 is a good example of their relationship. Blanche can therefore be interpreted as almost a catalyst to the downfall of Stanley and Stella's relationship. The character of Blanche. Blanche Dubois is portrayed as a refined and sensitive character. She first appears in scene 1 dressed in white, a sign of innocence and purity. Blanche is presented as an upper-class, educated and culturally intelligent woman who seeks to live her life being blissfully ignorant to reality. Blanche often strays from honesty, telling her own desirable truths and eventually constructing a fantasy life to cope with the trials thrown at her by reality. Blanche is, in general, a character who does not belong in this world. Stella Kowalski acts as the bridge between these two characters. Both Blanche and Stanley are guilty of trying to involve Stella in their quarrel and try to win her over as some sort of ally. Stella is therefore caught up in this battlefield of these two warring factions, both trying to use her to accomplish their own goals against the other. Stanley and Blanche represent two diametrically opposed worlds, with Stella being the final connection between the two. Whilst there are many relationships in A Streetcar Named Desire, we'll be focusing on the main three. In Stanley and Stella's relationship, it's clear that Stanley is the more dominant figure, and throughout the play there are numerous occasions where we see his dominance control her actions. She does what he wants, takes his abuse and still ends up loving him, displaying how toxic the relationship actually is. Blanche and Mitch are two very different characters, but in spite of this they connect almost instantly. The first time they meet, they both notice a unique quality to each other. Blanche detects an awkwardness around Mitch that makes him different from the rest of the boisterous men. Mitch is curious about Blanche, and she's different to all the other girls he's known, and in his eyes she is romantic and graceful. They share a common ground because they both lost someone they love, and they understand each other's feelings when it comes to death. The contrasting portrayal of Stanley as a strong man and Blanche as a weak woman immediately sets the two at odds. Blanche sees herself above her sister's life, and Stanley easily accepts his life in his flats in New Orleans. Given that Stanley recognises the fact that Blanche looks down on him, this forces him to assert his masculinity over her. Blanche is a liar, but Stanley remains truthful, and this alone causes conflict between them. Both characters have a strong personality, and this causes a problem between them based upon the fact that they're both trying to pull Stella in different directions. In the end, their personalities are too similar in some ways and too different in others to allow them to get along. Neither looks at life in the same way, and both have their way of looking at life in general, and there are simply too many differences to allow them to get along. They were created to simply conflict with each other.